Hey gang, it's David again, back to you with yet another Oxygen tutorial. And in this video, I've decided to do something else. Rather than just doing like quick little tips, I guess, in Oxygen, I just wanted to do like a front page recreation in Oxygen. So I came up with this design in Affinity Designer. And by the way, if you want to learn how to create these designs here inside Designer, just let me know in the comments below. So I created this, and now I've decided to simply recreate it in Oxygen. So that's something that you're interested in, just keep watching. So I've created a simple like here on the right, and I'm gonna add these colors to Oxygen. So I'm gonna start with adding the my like color swatches. So first I'm just going to maybe grab one, and I'm gonna go to my page. This is the page that I created, the Beauty Salon. I'm gonna go to Settings, Global Styles, Colors, and I'm gonna add a color set that I'm gonna call Savon. It's just a fancy name for soap. It's French. I thought that it would look it would sound a bit better than just soap. I don't know. I'm not an expert in beauty salons, so And so I'm gonna add a color. I'm gonna call it. Let me just see what it was. It's like this orange color, or maybe just gonna call it skin. And I'm just going to paste that in. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with all the remaining colors. Okay, so I got the colors, so I'm gonna start building my navigation. So I'm gonna add like a header builder. I know that a lot of people don't like the header builder. I kind of like it, I don't mind the header builder. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna add like a logo on the left. So it's gonna be my heading, this guy right here, and I'm gonna make it crimson text, this guy right here, and it's supposed to be like white. And I'm gonna type in Savon, like that, and I'm gonna go to typography and increase the letter spacing. Now I know it's pretty hard to see it against this darker background, so let's maybe, before we move any further, let's create like our hero section. And I'm just gonna add a section that I think I'm even gonna call it hero, like that. And I'm gonna add a background to it, like a background image. I already have my like assets prepared, so I got my icons and I got my images right here, and I think it was this image. So as usual, I'm gonna go to cover, and I'm gonna make sure that its left position is set to 50%, top to 50%, to center the image. And when I go to my header builder, I'm gonna choose overlay always, like that. So we got our header over our hero image. And I think that maybe we can make this logo a bit like lighter, I guess. And if I see, yeah, it's all caps. So I'm gonna go to typography, uppercase, and let's maybe do something like, I don't know, let's do 3 M spaces, or maybe 2.5. This should be all right. And I'm also gonna grab the header builder, size and spacing, and I'm gonna go ahead and choose full width. So in the center, I'm gonna add the menu. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Pro Menu, this guy right here. And I've also already created a menu that's called Savon, and it only has some like dummy links, nothing. These are not like real pages. And it's supposed to go to the center, so let's put it in the center. So I'm just going to use the Poppins font, like that, and I'm going to change the color to white. I'm going to go ahead and choose the uppercase, and maybe let's do like letter spacing 1, why not? And when we now go to to desktop menu. I'm gonna go to not hover and active space, align and border. I want to do like a margin on the left and on the right. I want to space them out quite significantly because, you know, it's not a big menu. So let's make it take a bit more room. And on the right, I'm gonna add like social media icons. So I'm gonna put them here on the right. And I guess these icons are okay. It really doesn't matter which social media icons we add, as long as we make them smaller and lighter, maybe even smaller than that. Let's like 20. And maybe I'm gonna just grab the header builder and I'm gonna add some padding, like to, I don't know, like 30 top and bottom. This should be okay. Now, of course, we have to take care of the responsiveness. So if we go to 992, I think that at this breakpoint we could make the navigation, you know, like mobile navigation. It just looks a bit too cramped for me. So I'm going to go to Pro menu and I want to make this, I want to, you know, toggle it to a mobile menu at less than 992. So now if you go to that breakpoint, this is what we have. But of course, it doesn't look good. So I'm going to go to mobile menu, open icon layout. First of all, I don't want the text. And I want to change the icon to linear icons, and I'm going to search for menu, this guy right here. I think I want to make it white. There we go. And then if we just open it up, you know, well, we got a bit of a problem here. So first of all, I'm going to go to close icon layout, and I don't want this icon text right here. And I think it's going to be crosshair. I want to keep it consistent. So I'm not going to use the font awesome crosshair. I'm going to use the linear icons crosshair. And I'm going to move this icon a bit to the right. So I'm going to choose icon position left 90% because, you know, most people are right-handed. And I think it's just, you know, I think it would be just better if by default it was moved to the right, not to the left. But, you know, it is what it is. So now, basically what we need to do is I'm going to go to menu styles and I want to make it like off canvas and I want to make it 100%. And I would like to make the background color like a bit darker, but let me see if it's going to work here. I'm going to go to background color and let's do maybe like, I don't know, this blue color. I guess this should be fine. And while we're here, we can make the item text align. We can make it to the center. And I'm going to go to close icon layout and I'm going to change the icon color to just plain white. And then I'm going to save it. So basically, this is what our website looks right now. So if we now just start making it smaller. And we got this, you know, it's kind of abrupt, this animation. Let's do some like real animation. So I'm gonna go to menu styles, off canvas animation. I kind of like this like flip up, you know, animation. It just looks nice. If I just now refresh the page, I just kind of think it looks nice, and it definitely serves its purpose. So it looks all right. So we got our like header created. Let me just go to all devices. So now we got to do our hero section. So I'm gonna just borrow this piece of text. There we go. And I'm gonna go to my hero section and I'm just gonna add a heading. And I'm gonna make it heading H2. I'm gonna paste my text in. And I'm going to change the text to crimson text and the color to just plain white. And you know, we can check maybe if there's like a lighter version of it. I think this will look a bit better. And I'm definitely going to change the text size to, let's like 2em spaces, maybe 3em spaces. I guess it's going to be okay. And while we're here, maybe I'm just going to, you know what, I think that this text is maybe just a bit too short. I don't know. I guess it would look better if it was put into lines. So I'm just gonna go grab some lorem ipsum, and I'm just gonna, you know, like grab this bit right here. It's not even real lorem ipsum, but it will do. So I'm just going to make it just a bit bigger, and yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of this guy, and I'm gonna go to typography and make sure that this guy is set to the center. So if we now take a look at our design, we got two buttons right here. So I'm gonna start creating my buttons. Of course, I'm gonna first create one, and I think it was book appointment. Yeah, and view our services. So I'm just going to type that in, book appointment, and again we're gonna have to change the color, so it's gonna be this guy right here. And on hover, let's maybe do this one like that. And of course we need to change the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to typography and change the font family to our display font, uppercase, and maybe I'm going to make like one letter spacing, one pixel, and I'm gonna maybe make the font something like 14 pixels. And then for the size and spacing, let's do like quite a lot of padding on top and on the bottom, and maybe a bit less like on the size. Let's just add like let's do like, I don't know, 15 and 15. This should look fine. So now all we have to do is to just duplicate this guy, and I think it was view our services. Of course these buttons don't lead anywhere because now it's not like a real website, it's just a front page. And I'm gonna hit done, and let me just take a look at, so this guy is light and it's got black font, so I'm just gonna make it white like this, and I'm gonna make its font our dark color. But when we hover over this, I want this font to change, so I'm gonna go to hover, and on hover I want the text to be light. So now if we just hover over this guy, you can see that it's nicely changing to this orangey color, I guess. Now I'm gonna go to my like hero main section, and I want to of course align everything to the center, but these buttons also have to be nicely aligned. You know, when I'm looking at them, I think they need more space. Well, that's like 30, 30 and 20, 20. I think that's gonna look a bit more. These buttons are gonna be like real call to actions, not like, you know, whispers to actions. So let's do 20, 20. And I'm just gonna of course have to wrap this guy with a div because I want these buttons to be put side by side. And if we now just make sure that our div is selected, I'm gonna do like horizontal alignment, and I guess I'm gonna grab this first button and I'm gonna add like, I don't know, like 12 pixels maybe, or maybe even more, like 20. This should be enough. Let's just add something like, I don't know, 50 pixels of margin somewhere here, and I'm gonna grab this first section and I want to make it I want to be sure that this guy is stretching across like the whole height, is using the whole height of our viewport. So for the height, I'm going to choose 100 viewport height units. And of course, if we go to our to our hero section, you can see that right now it's set to center and no, vertically center. It's been aligned vertically to the center. But of course, we also want to put all these elements to the center, but you can see that since we got this selected, it's not, we don't have like all the options right here. Unfortunately, we will have them when we go to horizontal, and now we can set the horizontal item alignment to the center. But then if we just go to vertical, it's all going to work, so it's all going to stay in place. Okay, so far so good. We got our first section created. Let me just see what it looks like on smaller devices. So when we go to 992, it looks fine. 768, it still looks all right. 480, I guess we could maybe make these buttons to be, we can put them like back vertically. And this first button cannot have any margin to the right, but it will have some margin to the bottom. So I guess this should be fine. So let's go back to all devices. And now let's see our design. So now we got our services. And actually, this is going to be a fun one. So I'm going to add a section. a section like this, and I'm gonna add a heading. I'm gonna make it H2 because I just want to have my logo set as H1. And you know what? Maybe I'm just going to borrow this guy. I'm just going to duplicate it, and all we really need to do is to just, of course, change the text to our services, and we need to change its color. But other than that, it's basically the same. Now we got our section selected. I'm going to make sure that horizontal item alignment is set to center. And now what we have to do is we have to add our icons and text. I'm going to add an image. So it's going to be this guy, and I'm going to browse for it. I think the first one is this like perfume bottle. I'm going to select it. Maybe I'm going to make it just a bit smaller, something like 76. And if you take a look at our design, we got this like subtitle here and some underline down here. So let's do that next. So I'm going to simply do another heading, but this guy is going to be H3. It definitely is not going to be that thick, maybe like 500. And it's gonna be beauty. It's gonna be beautiful. And let's go, of course, to our typography. Let's increase the line, the letter spacing. Let's make it uppercase. And you know what? Let's go for 100 actually. And let's do the font size like 20 maybe, or 24, or 22. This should be enough. Okay, so if we take a look at our design, it's going to be right here. So we got this underline down here, and there's actually a number of ways you could do that. You could just add a div beneath that, but we could also just add a pseudo selector to our heading, and that pseudo selector is going to be after, and we don't want to put anything here inside the content. We're just going to be playing around with these advanced values. So let's say that we want this underline to be like, I don't know, 25 or 26 pixels wide. So I'm going to do 25, and I'm going to do height like maybe 1. And then I'm going to go to layout, and for the display, I'm going to do block. And right now we could, for instance, just, grab the background color, and let's see if it's going to work. But which color was it? I think it's the lighter one. So I'm going to do the lighter color, and as you can see, we already can, well, it's a bit difficult to see, but it is there. So I'm going to grab my heading again, and again I'm going to go to after, and let's actually make it a bit bigger. Let's do like maybe 3 pixels. This should be a bit better. So of course we want this guy to be like put in the center. So all we really need to do is to set the margin left and right to auto, and as you can see, it's been nicely put in the center. Now I guess we can just go to our original state and add like a, I don't know, 25 pixel margin to top and bottom, well, to the top, because we still, I think, need to add some margin here at the bottom. If I take a look at the design, there's quite a lot of it. So I'm gonna do like 25 to the top. Maybe not 20. Let's just see the design. Yeah, I think it's a bit less than 25, and I think that this line is a bit more and even thicker. So let's go to, I'm gonna make sure that I'm on the after, and let's go to size and spacing, margin like, I don't know, 20, height, let's do like 5 or 4. Okay, this should be enough. Let's not split hairs here. So we got our heading, so this is our services, we got our image and our heading. So just with just these 2 elements, we created this nicely looking like icon element. So all we have to do now is just to wrap this guy with a div. And let me just try to put it somewhere here, and I'm gonna make sure that everything is nicely aligned to the center. And now we can just, duplicate this guy and just change this image, and it's gonna be nails. So let's find the nails here, and that's what I'm gonna type in, nails. Then I'm gonna duplicate it, and it's hair. Gotta have hair. So I'm gonna just type in like that. And this guy's gonna be this hair dryer. And the last one was just beauty. But maybe let's just change it to something else because we already have beauty. So let's do like makeup. Okay, I guess this will do. So we got all these elements right here. Maybe we could like put them inside like a column container. That would also work because right now what we want is we want to like make these guys go across. So you know what? Let's actually do that. So I'm just going to add columns, but I'm not going to be clicking on any of these elements. I am just going to try to put this, each and every one of these divs into my column container and just let it do its thing. Let it calculate all these values that are required. But as you can see, it's sometimes not that easy. But once we do it, I guess we can say that we succeeded. So of course, what we still need to do is to just add some kind of a margin in between these elements. So like 50, maybe even 100. This should be fine. So let's just now check back with our design. Still, we got some text down here. So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm gonna just add some text. There we go. I'm just gonna paste that in, maybe with a paragraph like that. And let's change the font to Poppins. And let's make sure that it's nicely being displayed to the center. And maybe since we got some margin right here, let's add margin right here, like 50, because it's I think it's the same. So it's the 100. Why not? And lastly, I think we got some kind of a button, view services. So I'm just going to borrow this book appointment button. So I'm going to duplicate it, put it down here, and I'm going to try to make it fit somewhere here. So it's going to be view services like that. And this guy is also going to have some margin, but like maybe 50. 50 should be enough. And of course, if some spaces are maybe like a bit too big for you, maybe they are a bit big for me right here. So I'm just going to make them a bit smaller. No, it's always like that with these designs. Once you just put a once you look at it with your like fresh eye, or like like after 2 or 3 days, it all just starts to look a bit different. You like some things and you start to dislike other things. So now let's actually try to do this part. This is going to be like a slider on the left and like some text on the right section. So I'm going to do that. But first I'm going to rename this guy. It's going to be our just services. There we go. So the next section is going to be, I think, beauty tips. So we're just going to call it tips. I think it's appropriate for a beauty salon. So tips. And this guy is going to have a proper background color. That's going to be, I think, this one. So again, I'm going to add columns because I want to have, I'm going to start with 50-50. We'll see, we'll see how it goes. On the left, I'm going to have a slider. Let me just select this guy. So this is going to be a slider. And no, my usual routine with the slider is that I simply remove all of the slides except for one, and then I just duplicate that slide. I'm just going to add a background image to it. Let's just grab this one. So again, I'm going to do cover, no repeat. I guess it would be a good idea to do a utility class for this kind of operation. Then I'm going to grab my slider. I'm going to go to styling, horizontal or fade. It doesn't really matter what we have here, but I'm going to change the dot color to maybe this darker color. And I'm going to remove the padding. And I don't want the dots to overlay the slider. I'm gonna go to configuration. I don't want to see the arrows. I do want to show the dots. For now, I'm not gonna be doing the autoplay because it's just gonna hurt my eyes when it's gonna be like playing in auto. I'm gonna do infinite. Why not? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm simply going to just duplicate the slide maybe twice, and I'm just going to change that the background. So I'm just gonna grab this one, and then I'm gonna grab this one, and I'm gonna change that image to maybe this one. Okay, I'm gonna save it. And right now I'm not too worried about the size of this guy. We're gonna get back to it in just a second. For now, I'm just gonna grab these elements. So I'm just gonna grab this heading, and I'm gonna go to my right div, and it's gonna be heading 2, and I'm just gonna type that in. It's again gonna be crimson text. It really would be great if in Oxygen we could, you know, simply see like a last used font. It would be just a bit quicker to work. And I'm just gonna make it white, and also I'm gonna make the font weight like 400, and that was 3M spaces. I guess I could have just borrowed that bit right there. So okay, beauty tips, and then I'm gonna just grab this text, and I'm going to add the text like that. And I think it's in Poppins, and I'm gonna make it white, and I'm gonna make it maybe even 300. I guess this should be fine. Let's go to typography, and let's maybe do like a bigger line height. And if I remember right, we have some margin on the left. We got like something like an indentation. So let's do like 20 pixels, or maybe like 5%. That's going to be a bit more responsive, I guess. And I'm going to do like 50 pixels top and bottom. This should be fine. And we also have like a button like learn more right here. So I guess we can grab this button and just change some colors. So I'm just going to try to put it down here. And of course it's not going to have this color. Let's make it transparent. Button hover color, maybe let's make it black. And I think we need to add like a border. So with and I think it has to be white. It would be a bit like logical, and it's supposed to be like learn more, something like that. And maybe I'm just going to do another paragraph here, something like that. Okay, so now I guess what we have to do is we have to just make sure that our like slider is is a bit taller simply. So in order to like make sure that these slides look nicely, we could try to play around with the with all these like width values, so with height, with like viewport height, viewport width. But we could also just, since this basically is a div with a background image. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add 100% of top padding right here, and it will make it adjust itself, and it will look nicely. So I'm going to do the same with the rest. 100%, and with this guy, size and spacing 100%, like that. And the last thing to do here would be to just make sure that these guys are nicely aligned to the center. And if we just now save this guy and refresh the page, this is what we're gonna have. But of course we could also maybe make it a bit more prominent. Now it's just a matter of experimentation. So let's go to yeah, this is my section, but I want to go to size and spacing, and I want to see what like full width is gonna look like. That's gonna make it like much more prominent, something like this. Now if it's something that you want to go for, I have a huge monitor here, so it looks really huge. So I'm gonna make it a bit smaller. So now it will look something like this. I guess it kind of looks all right. It really pops. So it's just it's up to you whether you want to do it like that. Of course, it would be also up to your client. So I'm gonna leave it like that. I guess it looks all right. And now all what we have to do to kind of like do our gift card section is we basically can just duplicate this guy, and I'm gonna rename it, and I'm gonna call it like gift cards, not cars, that would be cool, gift cards. I'm gonna save it, and of course we have to change the background, and let me just see what it looks like. So I'm gonna just reverse these columns so they look like that. This guy has to be darker. Same goes for this guy. And what about our button? So it's basically like a dark version. So the text is darker, like that. And the borders are dark too. So let's do that. And when we hover over it, I guess all we really need is to change the text color. So when we hover over this guy, let's change the text color to white. So this is basically what it's gonna look like. And we also have to change the text. So gift cards. And I think I'm just gonna leave this, or maybe, yeah. So okay, so let's grab this lorem ipsum and let's add it here. But I'm gonna do another paragraph like that. And you know what? Okay, let's just change the first slide's background, so it just it looks a bit different. It's gonna be this image like that, and I'm just gonna save it. But the problem that we're gonna have is when we go to like this smaller viewport, you can see that we got these just well, basically we got text over text. So that's easily fixable. All we have to do is to just grab our columns, and we want to reverse the column order at 992. So now we have like slider or image, text, image, text. But when we go to all devices, it looks like we still have like text here and then text here. So okay, so far so good. So let's see the next section, and this is our blog. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a section, and this guy's background color is going to be our lighter color, and I'm going to grab this heading, and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to try to fit it inside my section. That's supposed to have these guys aligned to the center, and I'm gonna type in like our blog. So next, all we have to do is to just add I'm gonna add a repeater, but I mean, it's not going to be linking to like a proper single post template, but for the sake of learning how to do repeaters, I'm going to do it like they were supposed to be linking to proper posts. So I'm going to add a repeater, and for the query I'm going to go to custom, and I created like some like savant posts, just with some dummy content. I'm going to apply that. So maybe I'm just going to grab this repeater and add like very, very quickly some margin space here. So inside my repeater, we got our div, but I mean, we could like add some stuff to this div like directly, like a background image or something, but we cannot make it link to our actual posts. And I usually like to link the whole like post container to a post, because it's just easier for people to tap on mobile devices. So I'm just going to add another div. It looks kind of redundant, but it is what it is. So I'm going to add a div, and this div would be like a link. So I would just I would link it. Let's go to data. I would do like a permalink right here. So it basically would turn that div into a link wrapper, and this link wrapper is gonna be 100. 100% wide, and its background is gonna be our background feature, well, post featured image like that. And again, I'm gonna do the usual, so no repeat, cover 50%, 50%. And beneath that, I'm gonna add a text, and it's supposed to be beneath, not inside. So I'm just gonna try to print it somewhere here. And this guy is gonna be, I'm gonna go to advanced typography. It's gonna be Poppins, so like that. It's gonna be a bit smaller, something like 12 or maybe 13. And I'm gonna do letter spacing of 1 or maybe 0.5. And of course, this is gonna be our metadata. So I'm gonna insert the data, and I'm gonna choose date, like that. And then I'm just going to duplicate this guy. But instead of like date, it's going to be our category. But before I do that, I'm just going to type in like in, and then we can simply change this oxygen date. I'm going to just go ahead and do insert data category. I'm going to insert that. And I think I just have some bracket right here. It's going to look a bit better. Now, as you can see, we got a bit of a problem right here, because since this category is basically a link that would take us to our like category archive, we cannot really change the color of it, like from this well, from this spot, because if we even if we try to, you can see that it's not changing. I think it's a bit of a, I don't know, a bug, you know, something like that. I mean, I wish it was possible to just change it like that. And of course, I think we have to go to typography, do uppercase. See, that changes, because this link color is being, well, it's been controlled by, well, like oxygen, like global styles. If we go to settings and then links, you can see that we got this link color, and then you can see that it's going to change it, but it's going to affect all our links. So in order to, like, you know, fix that, what we would have to do, unfortunately, is we would have to just code it a little bit. So I'm just going to grab this span, and I'm going to try to copy its name. Sometimes it's not that easy. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm gonna just have to grab, I mean, you could add like a style sheet for these custom codes, but since I'm gonna be using just on this one page, I'm just gonna add a code block, this guy right here. And I don't want this PHP HTML code. I just want to go to my primary CSS, and I'm just gonna type in a hashtag to, you know, indicate that this is an ID. And the thing is that, well, it's not working because there's still a link inside this span. So now if we just add like a, so anchor, and then we do something like, I don't know, color, just black, you can see that now it's working. But it's not really black, it's our color. I think it's going to be quicker if I just grab it from here. So I'm just going to do this and just paste that value in. I'm going to apply the code, collapse the editor, and I wouldn't worry about this no code found thing here, because it's not going to be visible in the front end. But if it's bugging you, I guess we can just move it somewhere here. And again, I think I'm going to have to make this guy uppercase as well. So now both of these elements, so this date and this category, well, they kind of need to go like side by side. So I'm gonna wrap them with a div and try to put them inside one div. There we go. So now I can just, you know, put them like this horizontally, and maybe add a bit of a margin space, like 10. I guess this should be all right. And now beneath that, so beneath this div, I'm gonna add a heading like that. And of course, it's just gonna be our post title. So I'm gonna do title like that, and it definitely has to be, well, no, not that prominent, so I'm gonna do like 400, 500, maybe 500, and like, I don't know, 18. This should be all right. And while I'm here, I'm gonna grab this div and I'm gonna center everything, and maybe I'm gonna grab this this div with our metadata, and I'm gonna do like 26 pixels maybe of margin, top and bottom. Bottom maybe like 12. Let's do something like that. And of course, now I'm gonna grab the repeater. I'm gonna play around with the layout. So I'm gonna grab the layout and do something like horizontal. Gonna grab the heading, and for the typography, I'm just gonna set everything to the center. And as you can see, it's a bit small. It's definitely a bit too small. So first, I'm gonna grab this div, and I'm gonna do some margin space like on the left and on the right, just to have some, some space here. And then let's try grabbing our like link wrapper. I think we added the background to this guy. So let's see if our trick is gonna work. So let's do 100% like that. Now it's gonna show the whole image, and since they have different aspect ratios, that not might actually work. You know what, guys, when I was editing this video, I just noticed one thing that I think it's kind of important to explain a bit better. So first of all, when we have this link wrapper that is linking to our posts, basically, I think that this div, like with this this metadata and the heading, they both should be within that link wrapper. I just kind of missed it. But if we just grab this div and we put it inside the link wrapper, you're going to see that it's basically going to be like within this link wrapper, right? And this is not basically what we want. What we could do is we could add another div, and that div would need to go on top of these elements, and this would basically be our, featured image. So it would have to be 100% in width, and I would also give it like a featured image background like that, and I would remove that from our link wrapper. So I'm going to go to advanced background and background image. I'm going to get rid of that. And of course my div, this guy also needs to have like our standard cover, no repeat values like that. And also, since we put it in a div, sometimes we might have to change some like text colors. So I'm just going to quickly do that. So for this guy and for this guy. And now you can actually start playing around with 100% values. So first of all, I'm going to grab this div and I'm going to set it to 100%. Then I'm going to grab my link wrapper and I'm going to see if I have some paddings or all those things set to them. So I want to remove that, and now I want to add that padding 100% to this div, 100% to the top. So now our elements look as they're supposed to. And now if we just grab our blog section, and I'm gonna go to size and spacing, and I'm gonna do full width, everything is going to be working properly. So this is just a thing that I noticed, and I thought that it's better to just add it and tell you about this. So let's see our design. Let's see what we have next. We still get this view all stories button. So I guess we can borrow this guy. It looks kind of similar, and I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to put it somewhere down here. So now I can just see where it went. So it went somewhere here, and I wanted to go here, and we got, I think we have some margin on the repeater. Yes, I'm gonna do like 75 and 75. This looks fine. So now if we just go to 992, it looks quite horrible. So at this breakpoint, I want this guy, not the query, I want to go to layout. I want this layout to be put to vertical. And I guess the last thing to do here, maybe I'm just gonna grab this div, and at this breakpoint I want to do 50 pixels of margin. Let's see, 768 looks quite all right. I guess it's okay. So I'm gonna go back to all devices. I'm gonna save everything, and we can move on to our this kind of like a I don't know, like like a social proof, I guess. You know, we got this like stories about our brand here inside these brands. Well, I guess these are the names of the magazine. So I'm gonna just add another section, and I'm gonna just rename this guy. It's gonna be blog, and this guy is gonna be let's call it something like featured, and this should be fine. And it's basically a matter of just adding some text here. So I'm just going to type that in or paste that in, so as featured in. And of course I'm gonna make sure that everything is aligned to the center. So this guy is gonna be again my Poppins. It's gonna be 600, maybe 600. And again, I'm gonna go to typography, make sure that it's set to uppercase, and maybe make it a bit bigger. Now let's do 18 pixels, and I'm gonna borrow this text. There we go, and I'm gonna add it right here. And it's definitely, well, it definitely has to be bigger. So again, I'm gonna do letter spacing 1, font size, let's like 64. It's gonna be enough. Let's align it to the center. Let's line height 1.2. And now I'm gonna add some spacing. So let's do like 50 and maybe 50. And we still have like read whole story. So I'm gonna borrow this guy. And again, I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm a big fan of duplicating to make my work easier. So it's gonna be read. Let's just do read story like that. And I'm gonna make it lighter and maybe just a bit smaller. Typography, let's do like 16. And I'm gonna underline it. And lastly, I think we just have those like, you know, those brands. So I'm just gonna duplicate this guy, put it down here. And the first one is called fashion. Oh, it's fashion, brand, and catwalk. So it's gonna be fashion. So let's go to typography. Let's do uppercase. Let's do something like, I don't know, 26 or maybe 32. And maybe let's play around with the fonts. Let's do something like, I think we have like PT serif here. It doesn't look really all that different. Let's do Laura. It looks a bit different. Okay, let's leave it like that. I'm just gonna collapse these guys. Now let's do, I think it's called brand. Okay, so this magazine is called Brand. And maybe I'm gonna do like Libra Baskerville, this guy right here, and it's gonna be much bigger. Yeah, this should be fine. Or maybe let's do like 36. It's gonna be in the center, so 42. And the last one, let's just duplicate this guy, put it somewhere here, and let's do, I think it was cat walk. You know what, maybe let's do something like a, let's see, like Parisienne, I think it was. Oh no, that's not gonna look good. You know what, let's go with play for display. It's gonna be quicker. Play for display, this guy right here. And of course, it would be a good idea to put these guys side by side. So I'm gonna put them inside a div if I can. And of course, they need to go like horizontally like that. And I'm gonna make this div 100%. And then we can just play around with this horizontal item alignment. We can check with like space around, space between. Let's do space around. Yeah, and it would be our section. So I'm just going to save this guy. And of course, let's do responsiveness. Looks quite okay, 768. Now these guys need to go vertically and to the center like that. And it should look okay. Maybe at this breakpoint, let's make the font size a bit smaller, something like 38. And what about 768? It still looks all right. It's okay. So let's go to our next section. It's going to be this join us search our website section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a section that I'm going to call maybe something like a join us. There we go. And this section's background color is going to be, I think this one. I think it was that one. Okay, and I'm going to add columns 50-50. And on the left, I think it was join us, so this guy. And I'm going to add a heading. I think I'm going to make it heading 3 and type that in. And it definitely has to be bigger. So let's do like 36. This should be fine, but I don't think it can be that thick. So let's do letter spacing. Let's do font weight 500. And let's see what else we have here. So I'm just gonna grab this piece of text. It's also Poppins. So it was within this div. So text. And it's gonna be Poppins. It's gonna be like maybe, I don't know, 13 pixels. I guess it's okay. Line height 1.2. And maybe I'm just gonna add some margin like 25. And I guess if we grab this guy, it would be a good idea to put it to the center, because I think it's to the center. So this guy is gonna be also set to the center. And we also have these social media icons there. So let me just duplicate these guys. And I'm gonna grab them all the way down here. And these guys are gonna be darker. And I guess this looks all right. And here we got search our website. So I'm just going to borrow this fella, and I'm gonna put it somewhere here. So it's gonna be just copy and paste. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that. Oh, and maybe I guess we could add a border here on the right. So I'm gonna go to borders, right. Borders all right. I'm gonna go ahead and do something like this. This should be all right. And maybe let's just add some padding. Let's do like 50 and then 50, or maybe even 100. This is gonna make this divider a bit bigger. And in here, let's do some text. I'm just going to borrow this text. So duplicate, put it somewhere here, if it's possible, like that. And let's go to typography to the left. Let's see what it looks like. It's much shorter, so I'm just gonna do like just one line of text. And I guess I'm just going to quickly add a search form. I'm not even going to stylize it too much. I'm just gonna do maybe like background color white, text color black, something like this. And this guy was 100 and 100, so let's do the same thing here. So 100, 100, there we go. So I guess it looks okay. Maybe the only problem here would be with this like search button. So in order to change it, we would have to just go to like style output, and let's click on the search button, and you can see that we got borders right here. If we go to top, we got solid, and we don't want that. If we click on set all borders, it's not gonna work. So we're gonna have to go through all of these. And the right one. So it kind of looks better. I think it kind of looks better. So another problem with this is that when we go hover over this guy, you can see that the color of the text is not changing. So when we go to our style output again, I'm gonna try to choose like our search submit like input. So first I'm gonna just go to our typography, and I'm gonna make sure that the color is set to our darker color, and then I'm gonna go to hover, and I'm gonna change it to just white color. So now if we just hover over this guy, you can see that it's properly changing. We could also maybe just go to our background color and maybe change it from that blue color to just something like darker color. So now if we just hover over it, you can see that it's actually changing. So it's maybe not a lot of work, but you just have to click a bit to make it really work as you want it to work. So the last thing to do here would be to just put everything nicely to the center, and it kind of looks all right, I guess. Now it looks a bit better. So I'm going to save everything, and our next section is going to be the gallery section. So this is what I'm going to call it. So rename, and then I'm going to just call it gallery like that. And inside I'm going to actually add the gallery module. But if you are using something else, if you're using something like a like a different plugin or something like Visual Portfolio, you could definitely just use it right here. And I think I forgot to just add a heading, so I'm just going to duplicate this guy, and I'm gonna try to put it somewhere here. And of course everything needs to be aligned to the center, and this guy needs to be light, like white, and it's going to be called like from our gallery. And I'm going to grab this gallery, and I'm going to just look for some images. I'm going to grab these guys, maybe like that, and I'm just going to insert the gallery, and I'm going to add like a margin down here, something like 75. This would be better. So if we grab our gallery, we got some layout options right here, and they're gonna work differently with with different images. I mean, if you wanted to recreate like this layout right here, it might be a bit difficult to retain the gallery properties and to make it look exactly like that when our images are of different sizes. I mean, if we just go to grid, and let's say we're going to increase the column count, you can see already that it's it's not going to work, but we can try. So I'm going to do like column span 2 and row span 2, and you can see that yes, they are popping in where they need to, but since some images are vertical, some are horizontal, it looks differently. So I guess we could also try the masonry, like maybe two images per row, not 42 but 2. It would, I don't know, look like this. It all depends on the images that you're using. So I'm gonna do like flex with 2 images per row, and maybe I'm gonna do items min width like 400, because when we now start going to like 992, we want these images to be like in one column, because if we don't have it, this number of images per row is going to be retained. So we can see that it's actually, well, it doesn't look that great. It shouldn't look like that. So I'm just gonna again do like 400 and save the guy. So next section, if I just go to my design, is this like a contact section. I'm just gonna grab this guy, and maybe I'll just borrow this section because this is already like aligned to the center. We got some some elements here, so I'm just going to just duplicate it, and I'm gonna try to move it down here, and I'm gonna call it like contact. There we go. And I don't need these elements, I just need the section itself. I'm gonna duplicate actually this this div. So this I guess this is this guy right here. Or maybe we could even duplicate the whole columns, I guess. So let's do that. So duplicate. So maybe let's collapse some of these elements, and I'm just gonna grab these columns and put them somewhere here. Now let's see if that worked. I guess it kind of did, and I don't need this margin right here. So if I go to my design, you can see that we got this small like subtitle right here, and we got some text, and I'm gonna simply quickly borrow this text, and of course we have to change this icon, and so I'm gonna, I think it was the telephone, and this text was I guess we can call it like contact, and we don't need this after state here, and this font is gonna be a bit smaller, so it's like 18, and a bit thicker, like 500. I'm gonna go to my typography. I don't need it to be an uppercase, but I think it's gonna be like 600, and maybe I'm gonna do like 0.5. I guess it's a bit better, and maybe I'm gonna make this icon a bit smaller, like 64. And I'm also gonna add the text, and it's gonna go down here, and I'm just gonna paste that guy in, and I'm also gonna paste this guy. I'm just going to try to move my cursor somewhere here, and it's gonna look more or less like this, but of course it still needs some adjustments. So to the center, let's change the font to Poppins, and let's make it smaller, maybe like 13. And I'm gonna make the line height something like 1.5, maybe even. And I'm gonna grab this contact subheading, and I'm gonna do like maybe 15. And yeah, I guess it looks all right. So I guess all we need right now is to just I'm just gonna, maybe, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of these elements. So now I can just clone this guy, duplicate it, and I think it was appointments. So I'm just going to borrow maybe this text, and I'm gonna change this font to this guy, and I'm gonna type in appointments and this date. And I'm gonna grab this text too and type it in like that. And now all we need is just to duplicate this last guy, and this one's gonna be our address. So it's this guy right here, and we're gonna have to just like type in address, and I'm just going to copy this lorem ipsum like that, and yeah, let's add a paragraph here, and of course all these elements have to be of same width, so like 33. Okay, so I managed to just type in the widths for all these elements, so now they are just like 33.33%. So yeah, so I guess that's it for this section. So the last section is our footer. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna add a section that I'm gonna call a footer. Of course, you know, if we were using like a proper template, the footer would already be in here, but we're just building out this page. So I'm just gonna add columns, and we're gonna need 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what I'm gonna add. And in the left column, I'm just going to add a logo. So I'm gonna grab this heading, and I'm simply gonna duplicate it, and I'm gonna move it all the way down here. If I can manage to do it somewhere here, And of course we need to change the color of our footer. So I'm just gonna grab this color like that. And I think that, yeah, we need to change the color, and maybe, you know what? No, let's do it like that. So let's do darker color like that. And I'm gonna add a code block, because right now I want to add something like a, copyright information. So I'm gonna start with copy and space, and I'm gonna append to it a date, and I'm just gonna add the year inside. So I'm gonna apply the code. As you can see, it's changing. And also we could just simply append like, I don't know, like Savon Incorporated or something like that. So and also maybe I'm gonna add a space here, and I'm gonna collapse the editor. And of course I want to change this font to, I think it's gonna be it has to be the display font, so Poppins, like that. So 12, I guess 12 should be all right. And you know what, I don't really want to build out all these links. I think it's just would be better to just grab some lorem ipsum, really. Or maybe, you know what, I'm just gonna type in something like link 1, link 2, link 3. It's just gonna be a bit quicker. So I'm just gonna do like text, and I'm gonna type in like link 1, and that link 1 has to be written, I think, using the display. Yeah, it's gonna be my Poppins font, like that, and it's gonna be like a bit bolder. Should be all right. And now I'm just going to like copy this guy and just start building out my navigation with just like simple links. It doesn't have to be anything like fancy. It's just it's just more to learn how to add all these elements. I mean, if it was like something, if it was a proper navigation, you would definitely want to add these like menu items down here. But since I didn't really do them, I'm just going to add links just so it looks like a proper like a placeholder for our navigation. So once it's done, I think I'm just going to like duplicate it and put it here in the other div, something like that. And on the right, I'm just going to borrow these elements. So I'm just gonna grab this heading, and I'm gonna put it somewhere down here. And let me just take a look at this. It's like join our newsletter. I guess we can do that. So we can just type in like join our newsletter, but of course we're gonna have like a subscription of like a search form. So it's not going to be like a newsletter subscription, but if you want to do that, you would have to like grab just some kind of a plugin, that short code, and that's basically it. So I'm just going to, for this mock-up purposes, really, I'm just going to add this text and also this search form. So I'm just going to duplicate it and put it down here. This should be all right. I guess it looks okay. It actually looks quite all right. So I'm going to save this, and of course we still need to see what it's going to look like on some smaller devices. Like in here we have this like a like a border on the right, and that's not really what we want. So I'm gonna go to borders, and I think it was the right border. So I want to do none, and it should be gone. Let me just make sure that this is the right div, but I think it is the right div. So borders are right. Let's do like 0, and it's gone. So now I just want to do border bottom. So I'm gonna like I guess just 1 pixel of width, and it should look a bit better. Our gallery looks all right. These guys look all right too. The navigation. Now maybe at this breakpoint it's like too much space right here. So maybe it would be a better idea to, instead of 4 columns, have like 3 columns, and then just put these guys side by side. So let me just grab the columns, and I'm just gonna move one of these elements to somewhere here, and then I'm just gonna get rid of this div, and this guy is gonna be like that. And now we're gonna have to just play around with these elements. It would be really so much easier if it adjusted the way we want it to adjust, but sometimes it just does not. And as far as these guys go, I'm gonna just put them like horizontally side by side, and maybe let's try to space between or space around, something like that. So sometimes with these elements, it's better to just try different solutions. Like in this case, I mean, I don't like that there is no symmetry here. So maybe we could simply do something like, I don't know, 15%, and then maybe try to space these guys around, and it looks a bit better. So then when we go to 992, these links look something like this. Guess it's a bit better. When we go to 768, kind of looks all right. Then when we go to 480, it still kind of looks all right. So it's just sometimes it's just a matter of trial and error, but it's how you get good at this. So I'm just going to refresh my page, and let's see what it looks like. Maybe let's go from top to bottom. So we got our navigation, we got our logo and our hero image. Then we got our services with a button down here. Then we got our slider, and let's see if it works. It should work. Then we got another slider that also should work. Then we got our blog. Then we got our featured in section, join us section, the gallery, and the gallery should also work. And it does. And then we also have like this contact and our footer. So yeah, all in all, we recreated the design, and I hope you had fun. And if you stayed this long, I really thank you and congratulate you. If you don't want to miss any future videos, just subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. It always helps grow the channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a nice design.